It's the return of the Mr. Figure, getting bigger every time I deliver a classic through drastic measures and no rulers. Jotting down my words, hoping they hold truer than any type of path that they set for me. The pressure mountain, but I never let it get to me. I just breathe, remember what I wanted to be. Critics nitpicking, what the hell they wanting from me? Peep the music, I tell these kids to reach up. I've been turning haters and negatives to believers. For this, the work of a lion and a leader. You can only rule the world if you let the world teach you. Platform, yeah, and what it sound like? Platform, yeah, what it sound like?
So I've been singing since I was probably 7 or 8 years old or something like that. I was always just singing around and like performing as a kid and stuff. And then my family like cornered me one night and put me into choir. So that was a big deal because I had to wait for the invitation because I don't really like get out there myself. And I found I really liked choir and I really liked blending of voices, so like harmonies happen a lot in my music because I really love losing myself in something that's like bigger than me. And part of singing for me is like this idea of transcendence, and so it's always been really important to kind of lose it a little bit. So that's part of like my raw style is really getting connected.
I forget to wear shoes, so I'm like, I want to go outside! And I have a guitar, so I'm just like, and I'm like, ow, 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 worth it. Yeah, but this is my favorite place. This I just found on the side of the road like 2 days ago. I'm all about like manifestation and stuff and like just trusting. So I'm like, man, I would love a matching chair for my Adirondack chair so I can have a homie sit with me.
Like I got really into acting and storytelling like that. So I went to college for that. And music always was just something for myself that I would do in my room and kind of learn about myself. The second song I ever wrote was called Cherry Tree, and that was about rape. It was like I was 14 years old singing about rape, and that was something that I hadn't physically experienced, but something I like sat down to write a song about my friend's mom who had just died, and this other song, you like picking cherries off the trees, and you get a taste and then you spit out the seeds. Well, take a branch, take a couple of leaves and leave my cherry tree alone. And it was like really, I didn't even know what it was really about, and I was just a kid, so I don't know, stuff like that would happen, and that's how songs would come. Was like, it wasn't me like, I'm gonna sit down and write a song about boyfriends and girlfriends today, or I'm gonna sit and write a song about how great it would be to have a car. I don't know, but always very dark with my music. So addiction has always been super high in my life. Like I'm 10 months sober today. I mean, no, not today, 4 days ago on the 8th. And that's been a super long journey. Like I've had high alcoholism since I was 14 years old, and I don't know what it was. I'm sure it changed all the time, like to fit in or to feel free or to just not care what people think, stuff like that. To hear my own voice only in my head. So that's been a huge ride and a huge part of my music. Like so much of it has to do with addiction and darkness and codependence and all this other stuff that I didn't really have a name for, but I just would sing about it.
Weeds and dead things. Weeds and dead things.
Believer, because I have lines like, all I smell is your bullshit and stay the fuck up out my world. Like, how am I gonna show that to Disney publishing guy? Like, he's gonna be like, okay, so this is where I play guitar and sing, and I come out here and I just like cry a lot. There's a lot of crying and singing, and like sometimes I'm laughing really loud, and my neighbors come and they walk by, and sometimes they're like, woo! Yeah, man! And that feels really good. And then sometimes it's a little awkward when they have their dogs or the kids, and they're like, So, needless to say, I crashed and burned at grad school. They kicked me out, and oh my God, I mean, the amount of Adderall I was on, like, my heart could have stopped at any time. So them kicking me out really saved my life. And that's when music came back into my life. I met homeless folks playing music in Washington Square Park. I remember one night specifically, I was out, I was writing a paper, so I was smoking a cigarette, skinny as a rail, just like so frail and not even knowing how much numb pain I'm in. And this homeless guy walks up to me and he says, hey, do you have a cigarette? And I was like, no. And the guy I'm seeing at the time was like, I have a cigarette. And I was like, oh God, fine, give him a cigarette. You know, like, we're trying to talk. And I was all upset. And the guy's like, hey, do you play music? And I later came to know this guy's name was Hollywood. And he's like, do you play music? And I said, he asked my boyfriend at the time. He said, no. And I was like, you didn't ask me if I play music. And I hadn't played music since I was like 16, not for people. I mean, like, I messed around by myself and stuff, but holy bananas. So I took the guitar and I played, of course, the deepest, darkest song of all time for me, Cherry Tree, just right like that, because that was like one of the few songs I'd written at that time, and I was 22 or something. And I played that song, and he lost his shit. He was just like, what the fuck? This is great, because it was very loud, and it's very, like, intense and painful. And I met, this guy walks by, and he hears me singing, and Hollywood calls him Peterson. He was, Peterson, this is, what's your name? Katie. She sings. She's crazy. And Peter's like, nice to meet you. And I was like, what's your name? And he's like, names aren't important. And I was like, ew. I hate you. You know, what a pretentious thing to say. 2 weeks later, I'm out writing another paper, and it's like 3 a.m, and I see Peter walking down the hill screaming and singing with this other guy, Miguel. And it's dead in Washington Square. It's dead quiet. The NYU library is right there, and that's where I am. And I'm smoking a cigarette, and I'm like, what the hell? So they come, and they're like, hey! You know, Peter doesn't remember that I met him 2 weeks prior. And I'm like, I'm going to give this a chance, you know, screw it. And I said, hey, didn't I meet you 2 weeks ago? And he said, oh, yeah. And I said, can I read a poem for you that I just wrote? I, like, felt compelled to tell him that, because I was writing all the time. I mean, I was just in it all the time. And I showed it to him, and he loved it. And then first thing he said to me was a line from one of his poems. He was a she, told me I was a cock tease. And I was, like, instantly in love with him. And then we went to get a pack of cigarettes or something like that. And I came out from getting a pack of cigarettes, and I expected him and Miguel, because we all talked and laughed and were drinking. And then I expected them not to be there when I went to get my pack of cigarettes. I just expected to be alone again. And I came out, and I was packing my pack, and he was right there, and he waited. And I was just like, hi. And then we were together every day for 3 years. And then now it's like 7 years later, and we were best friends from that moment on. And I liked doing music and stuff, and I was so big on acting then and such, and I still am. Like, storytelling in any capacity just gets me out of bed. But he was always up in my shit about my music. You're the best. You are the best. You are so incredible. Like, you need to share this. You need to get yourself out there. You're an artist. Go. And so I played on the streets. You go to Washington Square Park and you say Katie Burke, and people are going to give you a hug. You know, like, we were out there every day in the subways, in the streets. I found my voice there, like my real voice underneath the arch there. And that street artist sense kind of became like my identity. And Peter was a huge part of that. And so it just felt like we could take over the world, you know? So a year ago, in 2 days, Peter died. He didn't wake up. I got that call. And everything had just kind of been like, up until that moment, me waiting for other people to notice me and see me and save me and help me, you know? Peter saved me from drugs and like some crazy stuff I was doing on the streets of New York before I found him. So this is a shirt. This is Yesterday by the Beatles. And so there was this shirt and then this shirt down here. We have this like awesome tsunami thing. I think Peter pulled that off another homeless guy. He was like, I'll give you $5 for that shirt. And he's like, hell yeah. He took it off his back and gave it to him. So for like 3 years, we both traded off on wearing these shirts. And they got so ripped up and we just didn't care. He came like a couple years before that and he just stayed. We just got wasted for 3 days and made music. And leave the light on, so I can take you from you. I just found that the other day and I was like, yes! He just wrote that before he left. When I first got to Nashville, I was like by myself a ton. I had no one living in my house. I have a 3-bedroom house and I had no one there. And I was just writing music really slowly, and I'm used to writing it really fast. And this one came out like really sweetly and like it's like drawing it up like covers. It's like drawing covers over your head from roots of a tree. So you have to pull really hard and for a really long time. And that's just how it felt writing this song. It ended up being about my friend Peter ended up being like his mother's story. So she died when he was in his teens, and super devastating. And it ended up being her story to him, her song to him, Leave the Light On, as in like, you know, even though I'm gone, like you can still feel me holding you. You can still hear me telling you to leave the light on. The idea of leave the light on is like, don't get fucking wasted. Don't just like run away from everything. And like to be present and like shine so I can see you from here, from heaven or from the dead place, you know, wherever it is. And so when Peter died last year, that song immediately, I realized that song wasn't about that it was about him telling me that. And so it's pretty nuts how that song has like evolved from his mother's song to him, which I never told him about. I kept it to myself because I knew he would hate being told, like, don't tell me what to do, leave the light on, I'm gonna turn that light off if I feel like it. So I never told him, but every time I'd sing it, I'd think of that. But now it's his song to me. And it's crazy because you know, what he died from the same thing that actually, Miguel, the same guy that I met with Peter, and we all lived together and we were best friends, you know, before Miguel started riding trains again and leaving New York. But Miguel died in February, just 8 months later. So they both died in this past year, and it's like, I sing that song for them. So that's Leave the Light On.
So it's like 80 degrees inside right now. There's hidden blessings, isn't there?
Yeah. Yes, so drums, bass, lead guitar. I'm still debating whether or not to do the acoustic with the dadgad or to do it all in standard and just have a lead guitar, because the guitarist I have is like against other tunings, and he's like, I can transfer this and blah, 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 but I'm not sure. I like that sound.
That can work simultaneously though.
What do you mean?
He can play in the key that you're, even if you're in dadgad.
Yeah.
He can find his way through that.
Of course, but he's saying like drop the acoustic altogether. But I like that. I like the rawness of the acoustic, so I'll probably keep it in. I'm just gonna have to find somebody who can play.
I would say so,
because
if you do it differently, it's gonna be a whole different sound.
Yeah, yeah. I want to keep it folky as possible, but add the rock element to it.
Right.
She's singing Sisters right now.
So what was this reference?
So after this is like basically like another sense of a world of the song.
Okay. The 4/4 part.
Yeah.
All spin party with children one time enough.
What tuning were you in?
Dad, I was in standard, now I'm going to dadgad. I'm making the music I've always wanted to make, no apologies here. So like, now I'm about to go into the studio in 2 weeks, a year after Peter's death. Like today's the 12th, the 14th, it will be a year that since Peter died. And I'm going to the studio and I have like 5 people coming in with me who believe in this song. And this is my favorite song of all time. And it's called Believer. I wrote it because I was at work and there were these people talking shit because I dated someone at the job and like it didn't turn out, you know, we didn't end up being together or whatever, and everyone kept talking so much smack. And a mentor of mine who I found through recovery was like, I feel like you're starting to believe their bullshit. And I was like, you're right, I don't believe it. And then I started just like strumming. I was out here by the tree and I was just like and I just couldn't stop this feeling, and it was a feeling first, and then it just came out, and it was like, I don't know what you've been told, but baby, I ain't no believing. And it was just like, I don't give a shit what you think. I spent my whole life running from what people think. I was terrified from, and that's why, a huge reason why I had addictions. But like, I don't give a shit anymore what people think. And it's the most freeing thing ever. So that's what that's about, I guess. I don't know what you've been told. I don't care what you know. Just keep my name out your mouth. Don't wanna hear it anymore. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah. I don't know what you've been told, but I don't wanna get old for shoot my truth down your throat and I put you down like a dog. Oh, 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 oh. I don't know what you've been told, but baby, I ain't no believer. I don't know what you've been sold, but baby, I ain't buying either. I don't know where you get off telling me how to live. Find a mirror, quit ignoring yourself and boring everybody else. Woo. Oh, oh, oh.
your soul. Your pain would inspire me to grow, but all I smell is your bullshit. My love left out the back door. Oh, 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 oh. I don't know what you've been told, but baby, I ain't no believer. I don't know what you've been sold, but baby, I ain't buying either. I don't know where you get off telling me how to live. Find a mirror, quit ignoring yourself and boring everybody else. Oh, quit ignoring yourself and boring everybody else. Woo. Yeah. Oh. 5, 6, 7, 8. Mind your business, baby. Mind your business, girl. Mind your business, baby. Stay the fuck up out my world. Mind your business, baby. Mind your business, girl. Mind your business, baby. Stay the fuck up out my world. Mind your business, baby. Mind your business, girl. Mind your business, baby. Stay the fuck up out my world. Mind your business, baby. Mind your business, girl. Mind your business, baby. Stay the fuck up out my world. 'Cause I don't know what you've been told, but baby, I ain't no believer. I don't know what you've been sold, but baby, I ain't buying either. I don't know where you get off telling me how to live. Find a mirror, quit ignoring yourself and boring everybody else. Oh, quit ignoring yourself and boring everybody else. Woo. Oh, Yeah, okay, that was much better. Oh, yeah. Thank you, thanks.
You got great timing, especially in the 6